Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
The Sleeping Realm Theory, Part 4.
Oh, the Sleeping Realm Theory.
The home stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Here we are at the most recent update.
Yes.
The post-remind update that took me way too long to actually end up doing. I got this out just before A Melody of Memory dropped, basically. And I remember at this point some what little of the cutscenes there are had already been released in English. They had been kind of like leaked. And at this point I was abstaining, you see, because like I said before, the first time I was looking was to brace for anything I just didn't want to have to deal with, because I didn't really want the whole experience to be like ruined as I played it. So
yeah.
But like this time I was like, nah, we're good. I know I'm good to go. Ain't no worries for me. And then so I just didn't actually see it until I actually played it. But I was writing this and putting it out, and I'm like, for those who have seen the spoilers, I sure hope I didn't just waste a bunch of my time writing this, right? Like, I was like, I hope the points I make aren't immediately like refuted or something in Melody of Memory. And then they very much were not at all.
Nice.
So that was a good time. That was definitely fun. But and then even then, just like the Remind DLC, that was another one where obviously that there weren't any leaks there. It was a digital worldwide release at that point. But Remind treated us good. That's for sure. So I'm very excited to like go through this with everyone. I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, I haven't actually looked through the theory since Remind came out. And for some people that they were like, oh, well, after Remind totally debunked the whole thing, which is not even close to true. In fact, it really like hard leans into many things we brought up, to a point where we're like, I love to be right. I love being right. It's cool. But which we'll get into. That'll be fun. But it's just like, I guess for those who have not seen any of the updates or anything, I really didn't I didn't add anything much through the theory. I thought it would be better experienced as like tacked on afterwards of like, hey, here is just the Remind update and how what Remind brought applies to the rest of it. So that's kind of the idea here, I guess. It's all in one little thing.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting, I know.
I'm so excited. It is your turn to read.
It's my turn to read. Okay. Where's my... Alright. Okay. Remember Me. And a fun fact about this one is we struggled to like... There's supposed to be title cards, right? And we forgot this fact when making this image, when Canary was doing it. Because I was like, wait a second. There's no title on it. We didn't put a title on the title card. And so we were like trying to figure out where it should go.
It's
we're like,
chaotic and busy. There's no place for it.
Yeah. So we like basically eventually we had to we just like extended the bottom a bit and like put that there. Because I accidentally didn't like plan it into the thing at all, which we saw earlier. I was just like, what if chaos all this? So that was like, yeah, and like because we didn't release this until just before like Melody of Memory came out, like Canary was here at the house and we were like both like like trying to like figure it out. We're just like, where does this go? Here? No, that's stupid. How about here?
It looks good.
Yeah, it came out very nice. Thanks, Canary, for always knocking it out of the park every time. For like no reason, just out here being sweet as can be, and then just like, here's a masterpiece I dropped on your doorstep, and I'm like, wow. So anyway, so Remind was a lot, huh? 1 year after the initial release of Kingdom Hearts 3, we get this fat DLC drop that, in true Kingdom Hearts fashion, raises about as many questions as it answers. It manages this by not being the end-all, full-game retrospective mystery solver we initially expected, or at least hoped, it to be. It's, as Nomura put it, a third layer. And boy, he wasn't kidding. The question being, You said a new trailer is coming in December. Is this going to be the last trailer for Remind? Nomura. Yes, this trailer will include the release date and other such information. The fragments of clips you've seen of the new story added with Remind may have made you think it's taking place during the main story of Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's set after the ending and is separate. The story of Kingdom Hearts 3 was concluded in that game. There are two layers, victory and defeat, and perhaps this is what should be called a third layer. It does come during the time of the Kingdom Hearts 3 main game, but I think perceptive fans will, after playing it, is a different beast from the main game. And it really is just like, the point of like, there is a layer of defeat, there is a layer of victory, and then there's this right on top. This 7-layer bean dip of a narrative can already be a lot to chew through, and Remind just added some cheese on top. And while this explains some mysteries, it opens the door to plenty of others, as Kingdom Hearts is wont to do. As a small overview of the DLC, Sora, in a bid of No Man Left Behind, travels back in time in a final attempt to save Kairi. And we mean final. Chirithy makes a point of the fact that if Sora doesn't manage to do this in time, he won't be getting a second chance. Overall, we follow this future, post-Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora as a heart jumping unseen between the connected hearts of the cast, past self included, through the events of the Keyblade Graveyard in a kind of behind-the-scenes look at what happened. In regards to the theory, though, it brought us all sorts of fun stuff. Sora is dropped to just before the fated Fall to Darkness, or, quote, the tear in the fabric of time, as they call it. The tear in the fabric of time. A divergence in the fabric of time that occurred when Sora used the power of waking to overwrite the timeline of defeat. When this phenomenon came into being, a new world without defeat was born, creating two contradictory histories within the same timeline. Very pointed description. Sounds familiar. There, I will have you experience the same things you did here, but the world will go on, this time without total annihilation in its future. Like an overwrite? There it is. And it's after this tear in the fabric of time, we're shown the world logo for the Keyblade Graveyard, the indication we're now connected to a shiny new reality. Or, how about the secret ending in Kingdom Hearts 3 not only turning out to be a dream, like we'd said, it was specifically Riku's dream. Now I'd like you to tell me about the dreams that you've been having, dear. It was dark, and I was surrounded by tall buildings. I was looking around for Sora when I felt someone watching me from way up high. Unsurprisingly, searching for Sora, which is also just like we said. And while these things are great, it doesn't even touch on the wealth of clues we got about Kairi. Kairi's heart is definitely missing.
Woo!
Whew!
Beautiful Namine.
Oh, Namine, sweet angel baby!
Sweet smoking gun. Is that a song?
No, she's just the smoking gun.
So earlier, we talked about Namine and what it means for her to be in the final world. The fact that she's there when nobody arrived with Sora means she had to have already been there before he arrived, felled by some great darkness before this in a prior timeline. And according to her, once Kairi is back to the status quo, so is she. So once she's safe again, Kairi is where I'll return. And since Namine has been there the entire game prior to Sora showing up, Kairi hasn't been back to normal the entire time either. Her heart has been missing, and in Remind they make it very clear that it still is. During the Keyblade Graveyard, the Guardians fall to darkness. Sora then recollects himself in the final world, returns to Riku's sacrifice, and this time saves everyone's hearts. He pointedly doesn't find Kairi, but they return to the graveyard safe and sound anyway. It is at this point in Remind, Namine shows up. But tell me, why haven't you returned to Kairi's heart yet? Very good question, Sora. Why hasn't she? To both their understandings, she definitely should have returned at this point. Because I'm still not able to. But something is preventing her. Well, that's strange. Everyone should be safe and sound, right? I mean, this conversation is happening while everyone's standing around outside. Everyone including Kairi, who's right there. Totally fine, supposedly. Unless, of course, she isn't, and hasn't been. Namine's inability to return to Kairi, especially after suspiciously not finding her heart, is some hard proof in the pudding that Kairi is not whole or safe. Something vital is missing. And it's only after Remind, after Sora pulls together all of Kairi's pieces hidden by Xehanort, does this change. At this point, we know for a fact Kairi's heart is returned to her because Namine has too. It's because of this they can extract Namine from Kairi, proving Kairi at this point is actually complete. But why is it now that Namine came to Sora's heart anyway? Is it maybe because Kairi is there?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Sora the Matryoshka. Don't worry, it's really fine. It's good. Hearts within hearts within hearts. Kairi is still in Sora's heart during the course of Remind, but like future Sora specifically. He's like onions, they have layers. We have a couple very blatant examples showcasing this too. First off, remember when Xehanort struck Kairi down, heart nowhere to be seen? Sora from the future is watching on from within his own body. But he ain't the only one.
Love it.
We get a very pointed shot of the camera as it zooms away from his face and in on his chest, accompanied by an overtly loud heartbeat. We've been shown this before, almost exactly as evidence of somebody else romping around in that big heart of his. Specifically, it was Ventus reacting from within Sora and even managing to speak through him. And there it is.
There it is.
In a similar example, the loud heartbeat also happens here, directly correlating to Ventus awakening within Sora.
That's such a creepy shot. Like how his eyes kind of like almost go dead. But then
Yeah,
like,
where he's
around.
like definitely like looking at something that's not there.
Yeah.
While Ventus was reacting to the danger of a friend, Kairi reacting to seeing her own body double something or other being slain really isn't out of the question. The point of the shot is to show not Sora, who is looking on, but something within him reacting too. The next example is a very telling line of questioning from Xehanort. For some reason, I struggles to read the lines because it's like white on white.
Yeah.
I am the one who hid the fragments of Kairi that you seek. Of course I am here. No matter, did you come alone? Well, the fact that he asked this is enough cause for suspicion. Why would this even be something to ask? Yeah. So, of course, Sora, of course, is unaware of anybody else and answers truthfully. But after a quick ocular pat-down from Xehanort, it's clear. Sora most certainly did not come alone. Xehanort knows better and is pleased as punch about it. After his inspection and a satisfied chuckle, he asks Sora a now repeated question, also mentioned by Terra Xehanort in their earlier fight. Are you prepared to pay the ultimate price? He obviously has some greater knowledge of the situation, something he expected, with signs he knew to look for. Which leads us to our next point.
Xehanort's involvement. He's involved with everything. Xehanort is a man of many talents, mostly that of conniving, scheming, and being supremely prepared. He's got a backup plan for his backup plans, and Remind is no exception. We propose that Kairi is an unfortunate but key pawn in his plans, and as we find out more about her, the more we see Xehanort's meddling. After Kairi's shattering, with Mickey and Riku still frozen in time in the air, future Heart Sora has a strange and unexplained conversation with the king, where he shows a surprising amount of know-how on Kairi's situation. Master is that Mickey talking?
Yeah, that's Mickey talking.
Okay. Master Xehanort's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. That's an understatement. Kairi's one of the 7 hearts, which is why he crystallized her, so he can use her as insurance until Kingdom Hearts is opened. She's his last resort. His last resort. That seems pretty pivotal. I don't know about you. So according to mysterious voice Mickey, who knows more than he should, It turns out Xehanort actually crystallized her as an assurance, a backup plan. This makes sense, but due to Kairi's incomplete state the entire game, the question would be when he crystallized her. Kairi, unbeknownst to her, has been a pawn in Xehanort's plan from the start. His conversation with Sora in Scala is the biggest example that he set this up from the beginning. After being guided here and there by some form of Kairi, Sora only finds 5 pieces, unsure of how many total he even needs. After being guided here and there by some form of Kairi, Sora only finds 5 pieces, unsure of how many total he needs. That's 5. How many more? This is when Xehanort very casually shows up. There are 2 more, and freely offers him the information he needs. This is the smirk of a man who knows exactly what he's doing. He's also entirely unfazed by seeing 2 of Sora. Unfortunately, you're a little too late. And is far too aware of the exact parameters or rules Sora is working within. It appears you have failed to retrieve Kairi in the time to come. So here you are, once again, in times already past. Xehanort knows exactly what sent him here, and why he's doing it. And if Kairi is his last resort, for his insurance plan to work, why would he freely offer up so much information? Why help Sora in any capacity, unless this is what he planned for from the very start? Not to mention the specific placement of each of Kairi's pieces. Personally hidden with blatant symbolism by Xehanort himself, we have a Shadow Heartless, a public water fountain with, water.
With water.
Water, Kairi, an educational doomsday diorama, a literal and unsubtle cage in the sewers with more water.
In the sewers with water.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, led on stage by Kairi herself, an old friend. Hey, what's up, friendo? We've seen you for twinsies.
This guy.
Hey, hi. Fancy meeting you here. Suddenly, the idea of Kairi being connected to the very mysterious dark side at the beginning of KH3 doesn't seem all that wild. In fact, it's rather pointed that they did this, especially seeing as they use a cutscene with Kairi leading you straight to it. Continuing on Xehanort's plan, if Kairi is some key piece, to what extent is she needed? Why would Xehanort need Sora to, aside from pay some ultimate price, find all her pieces? What we understand as Kairi's heart, or simply pieces of Kairi, were both hidden by Xehanort and his last resort. What we also know is that it doesn't look like any other heart we've seen, even Kairi's. Oh, very true. And while you could think things have simply changed since KH1, they continue to show hearts the same way even within KH3. Beautiful little orbs.
Beautiful little shiny baby boy orbs.
So what is this exactly? Is it Kairi's essence in its entirety? Is it even a heart? Is it something at least Xehanort had a direct hand in making? So while it doesn't...
It's something that, at least... That's the point. It's just like...
It's
okay. Not, is it something? It's like, it is. It is very much something he had a direct hand in making.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, continue.
Thank you. So while it doesn't look like any heart we've seen, it isn't treated like one either. As it's not only used to restore Kairi, it's shown to open a gate via the exact same mechanic from Kingdom Hearts 2. Such a cool callback. Yes. In KH...
It's pretty exact down to, like, every little bit of it.
Oh, that was so, like, fan service, and it was beautiful. Yeah. In KH2, this was usually something of an important or sentimental object used as a means of opening a new gateway or path to worlds. Now, we aren't calling Kairi an object, but this crystalline flower has more going for it than at surface level. And as a part of Xehanort's plan, seemingly opening a gate brings back Kairi. But it also brings with it this. This fight, while super cool, don't get us wrong, is a bit of a head-scratcher. We're shown that at the same time as this, past Sora is currently facing off with Xehanort and Scala ad Caelum. So who or what is this Xehanort double? Goat Man, who it is. While we don't have answers for this fight specifically, the ties between Xehanort and whatever extended involvement and planning he's had with Kairi or the events of Remind are made rather painfully clear.
Boy howdy.
Woo! It's a lot.
Yeah, and it was particularly a lot of the stuff was just like, it was, when I was like first playing through, it felt so like heavy-handed, and that we were like, yeah, Kyrie's been just like, tooting around in Sora's heart like the whole game, right? And then like Remind was like, let's just like really make this clear though for a second. And it was like, I know, because like a lot of people kind of glazed over the part, because when I brought it up, a lot of people were like, oh my, what? Oh my god, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
But it's just the whole bit where it's just like, and then Sora's watching Kairi get like, taken out, but then it's just like, but Sora, inside Sora, he's looking on too. And then it's like, and then, but who's in here? And it goes like straight to his like heart. And I was like, wow, who could it be? Oh my god. And then pointing it out later, everyone was like, oh my god, oh fuck. But it was just one of those, it was just, boy, what a trip that was. So what a fun time playing through that was, especially when it was just like, wow, look, Kairi, a big dark side. I was like, no way. I'd even been told about it a little bit ahead of time. It was like, you're gonna love this when it comes up, and it did. And like, his Gemma was with me, and it like showed up, and we just both started yelling, and I was like, how does it feel to be the smartest people on the planet? And Gemma was like, oh, it feels so good to win. It was just a lot. It was just fun.
Oh my god, the euphoria. I can't even. Just like, yeah.
Good lord. Anyway, moving on. A goodbye with all your heart. Last but not least, we spoke about world theming and goodbyes. Ultimate price paid and Kairi freed from holding him together with all her might, Sora is set to vanish from this world. Knowing full well he's going to disappear, he spends what time he has left with Kairi before having to say goodbye. Just like what was said in Pirates of the Caribbean, it doesn't matter how much time you have, it's a matter of how you spend it. The whole, there's always enough time for your hearts to say what's true. Only takes a moment to connect with your mates, with your hearties.
He said Sora's like, a day's not enough, and he's like, no, it can be enough if you spend it. And oh my god,
yeah, it was like very like exact. And just like with Pooh, no matter where you are, you're always together. Boop boop, tap the red shirt. Right here where it matters most. Even Sora's post Remind Kingstagram post echoes this sentiment. Even though we're apart, we're never alone anymore. Right, Kairi? And like, you only get this after you beat Remind. Just so you just to put that out there. Past Remind, Limit Cut seems to reinforce the separation after Sora has been gone for a year. They make a point of mentioning how Kairi has been asleep the entire year under the assumption her heart would hold a clue to finding him. She believes her heart might hold a clue about Sora. For a year, she's been sound asleep while they search her heart. And yet, nothing has been found. Do you know, this was posted before Melody of Memory, so... Anyway, still not off or anything, just for context. So there's been no progress. Riku responds with a solemn nod. Nobody has a lead. Kairi's own heart after an entire year doesn't have a lead. After all of that, the only one with a clue to finding Sora turns out to be Riku. So Riku's dreams might hold the key? Yes, dear, I'm sure there's something there that leads to Sora. Much to Riku's own surprise. And in the face of a year's worth of searching, this seems to hammer the goodbye home. Here's the little... This point is followed up pretty directly in Melody of Memory. Kairi, facing a Xehanort of her own machination, is told rather directly that what she's looking for? You seek clues to Sora's whereabouts by using your memories of him to search through your own heart. But there's nothing for you to find here. Yeah, but it's like what she's looking for isn't here. The clue she does find is that of a memory of Xehanort, mentioning the concept of another side of reality while spouting his college thesis at a 4-year-old. While helpful in pointing them in the right direction, in the end, the clue doesn't lie in her memories of or her connection to Sora. They seem really keen on making a verbalized point of it, and it's only doubled when in the end it's Riku going to save Sora, while Kairi is contrived to stay behind. Sometimes, no matter what you do, people slip through your fingers, but the time you spent together regardless should be treasured and held in your heart.
Star-crossed.
Crossed, and the games keep reinforcing it, so
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Just wow. Spouting his college thesis for you. Xehanort.
And he really, like, just like when I was going through, because I streamed playing it through, and it was just like, he is just going off, and I just went like, oh my god, dude, she's 4. Like, he's just really going off about it. He's like, I'm sure you, like many others, believe that this is the only. And I was like, what are you? She probably believes the moon is made of cheese. She's 4. I know I did when I was 4. Cut her some slack. What are you
saying? Xehanort, 3 smart 5 me.
3-5 smart me.
Got beat by the power of friendship, despite that.
Mm-hmm.
It was fated. All right.
It was fated.
Woo, here we go. Bonus Strangeness. Just throwing it all out here.
Mm-hmm.
The general takeaway with Kingdom Hearts 3 is that we're not really being shown the full picture. It's like trying to put together a puzzle. We have all of these pieces, and there's no picture on the dang box. That said, there are several of those pieces that can't go ignored, but don't really fit into any neat little answer. We just don't have all of the context to put it together. What if these things would mean new territory? What these things would mean new territory.
Yeah.
Stuff that
we should have the context to put it together.
Right.
What these things would mean new territory.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
Stuff that makes you go,
oddly.
Huh? But we're noting it down anyway, at least to say that we noticed it. All right.
Okay. 2.9. So we're taking note of 2.9 generally because, as it stands, we can't be entirely sure, but a lot of the repeated dream patterns and tells appear in Olympus as much as everywhere else. But for lack of a better context and information, we latched onto the definitive drop point we could identify and Riku's hair change and moved forward. But what we found suspicious is a bit too. Here we go. Live editing.
Doing it live.
But what we found suspicious is a bit too consistent to ignore. So, for one, at the end of Dream Drop Distance, Sora dives into the realm of sleep to say goodbye to his friends, the Dream Eaters. You play the drop as the credits and see your friends. Sleeping keyhole. We just want to put a mental pin in the fact that we never actually see him come back out of one. In 2.8, we only get this as his return. You were gone a long time. What were you doing? He's like, secret.
Hugging Dream Eaters.
I went to see my dog. Even though later he doesn't seem to try and keep it too much of a secret, unless the secret is something else entirely. And he's like, it is not. I just like to say goodbye to all my friends. Past this, we have Goofy's sudden memory of Yen Sid saying, may your heart be your guiding key, while Donald and Sora have no idea what it is he's talking about. Implying this has either happened before or perhaps was influenced in some way, seeing as it becomes an incredibly important and powerful phrase from here on out. In Olympus, we have flow motion and attraction flow, both very dream-related in their own right, though of course could be just game mechanic things.
Sure.
And then we have more forgetfulness, but not just from Sora, from Hercules too. So, Sora, is there a reason you guys are visiting? It sounds like somebody forgot. Oh yeah, I just took my time remembering. This isn't too out of character, but with the pattern through the game, it stands to be noted. What really stands out is this. I didn't hesitate to give my life for Meg's, and then I remembered. A true hero is measured by the strength of his heart. I'll never forget that again. But he does. Yeah, do you remember the last time we were together? You were feeling down and out. How'd you get your strength back? When you jumped in and saved Meg. That's tough. All I know is that she was in trouble. Suddenly I wanted to save her with all my heart, but it's not like I could tell you how. Granted, the idea of being a true hero and that being the strength of your heart is a bit of an abstract concept, but there's no reason to have not actually just said it, especially when he leads in with having to think about it being tough, and that all he knows is what little he seemingly can recall. So, what would this even mean in regards to the drop that happens towards the end? Well, it could just be deeper and deeper layers of sleep, and a regular first layer of sleep Sora is seen to retain his regular form. So, Riku's hair being the same as the real world is viable. So, we don't know. It's just there's weirdness here. We're putting it here. Moving on.
Yeah. Moar 2.9. There's nothing much to say about this shot other than the imagery here is really, purposefully, something. One of the last and most important scenes in the game, and they chose to show us the Keyblade pointed right before the 3. Combined with the 2.9, combined with, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the logo, it all really hints that the KH3 we play is not the complete story. That is so, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Not only this, it's literally any given shot they're in. At any given point in this setting, Sora is in the exact same position, always at 2.9.
I purposefully checked this myself, and I was looking through, and it's literally like whether the whole group is there, whether it's just him with Xehanort, it does not matter if they are standing on this platform. Sora is standing at 2.9.
Wow.
Every single shot. Like, I am not kidding. I looked. Every single one. Yeah, and Riku is at 3. But obviously Riku's only there for like a small time. But like any shot where you can see the floor, Sora is at 2.9.
Wow.
So that's fun. And then here's the section about the True Kingdom Hearts. And then I think I just moved this and then I made a note at the end of it. So, okay. True Kingdom Hearts. As a refresher, there's an important difference between the yellow Kingdom Hearts versus the blue True Kingdom Hearts. For starters, there's more than one Kingdom Hearts. And most Kingdom Hearts we've seen thus far have been artificially made. In Kingdom Hearts 1, made from the Hearts of Worlds, though we don't see it directly, manifested as a door. In Kingdom Hearts 2, made from the Hearts of People. Both of these cases have resulted in incomplete Kingdom Hearts, a door that leads to it, and a yellow heart. Notably, these are the only versions of Kingdom Hearts Sora has ever personally seen, but why would the one from Kingdom Hearts 3 be the same color as the incomplete version? Then we showed the blue hearts, blue lips, blue veins, blue is up, that's up the Kingdom Hearts, and that's my AMV, I'm working on it. Please look forward to my blue lips Kingdom Hearts AMV. It's also worth mentioning, 358/2 and Birth by Sleep were released 1 year apart, being in development at the same time. The change to blue for Birth by Sleep was intentional. And, like, this is still true, but now we don't know what all this means, because the yellow is supposed to be the true one, so... Ultimate update, Pop those streamers is the first thing the Ultimania has proved us wrong about, or at least proved something everyone was wrong about.
Right.
Something even the visual effects director was surprised to learn. Question: please tell us something you won't forget. You won't forget about the development process. The answer being, I've been involved in this series a long time, so I thought I more or less had everything figured out. But this time around, I learned for the first time that the real Kingdom Hearts is not blue, but yellow. Surprise!
Oh
we all get to learn this today. We know for sure the yellow Kingdom Hearts summon in Kingdom Hearts 2 was incomplete, and we know for sure the blue Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts Key was the real true Kingdom Hearts. We know that even the visual effects director thought the same. And we know for sure that up until Birth by Sleep 10 years ago in universe, Kingdom Hearts was blue. The question changes from why is Kingdom Hearts 3's Kingdom Hearts yellow and not blue, and becomes why did the true Kingdom Hearts change from blue to yellow? Why is the true Kingdom Hearts the same color as an incomplete one? It may be wholly unrelated to the theory at this point, but it's still a mystery worth noting, and so we moved it here.
One's yellow and one's gold.
I don't know. We'll find out one day, baby.
What? No more. Two.
I'm just taking the ride.
Keyblades. One of the bigger head scratchers of the game is how on earth does Roxas have Axel voice 2 Keyblades?
Whoa.
What? We know from previous games that both Sora and Roxas were able to wield 2 Keyblades due to Ven's heart being inside of them. 2 hearts, 2 Keyblades. Now, with Ven restored, there should be no way for either of them to dual wield. And yet... Look at this boy. Look at this boy. Look at that boy. Look at these boys with their Keyblades. Remind seems to make sense of this at first glance, with future Sora's heart residing in Roxas temporarily. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. Sora is there only temporarily before moving on, and yet Roxas continues to dual wield even after he's gone. We also happen to know full well that Nomura knows his own lore and his pre-established rules, seeing as he made a direct reference to it in Utada's cover art for Face My Fears. You know, where she wields 2 Keyblades. He directly comments on it on his countdown post. 7 days to go. This is the last countdown picture. Today, Face My Fears, the opening ending CD, goes on sale. I myself drew the cover art. The fact that she has 2 Keyblades means that she must have 2 hearts. Oh no, the character limit. Nomura. He's so quirky.
I know.
The fact that she has 2 Keyblades means she must have 2 hearts. This is one more example on the long list of examples where the game presents you with something without explicitly calling attention to it and lets you assume what you will. Oh, Roxas always has Oathkeeper and Oblivion. This is normal, your brain says. Of course, when he makes his big comeback, he'd have his iconic look. But if we know the rules, and Nomura knows the rules, who's wielding 2 blades? Well, still Roxas, but maybe 2 of them. Kind of, perhaps. This isn't any hard answer, but this is something that should definitely be kept in mind. Another scene where something is brought up and then never touched on again. We have Yenzo whittling away at trying to bring back Roxas by reconstructing his heart with data, something touched on in San Francisco. We've come a long way towards reconstructing Roxas's heart, but a vessel, without that, it's the backup plan or nothing now. He's very far along, but the most pressing issue is the matter of finding a body. Then he's straight up given a vessel, dropped right at his feet. Problem solved, right? Sure, if we didn't see Roxas's heart leave Sora's body at the sight of Axel and Xion in danger, having him ascend from the heavens in righteous fury. So what happened with his nearly complete data heart? Why does he have 2 Keyblades? Is it the data heart? Is it inside him? How did he even get here? That's my biggest question. How did the replica body get to the graveyard? Like, who put rocket boots on the bottom of this replica? What?
I took a bite at an inopportune time. Give me a second.
Oh man, it's Roxit boots.
That's a good one. Okay, the Paopu Fruit. This scene in itself has several layers of odd, with the music strangely melancholy, the aforementioned intro prediction and how it seems to need to happen. Sora is seemingly off-put and unsure about the whole thing until convinced, but we're going to focus on a tiny detail that seems to have gone entirely unnoticed. Bite.
Oh, no upset bite. About this.
I know. Like, I love it because it's like, I really just kind of like hastily hand wrote bite and no bite. And it was really like, it didn't mean anything other than like, I mean, I keep looking at it and it just doesn't look like she's taken a bite at all. And I'm going to lose my mind if it's actually a thing, so I can't not bring it up.
Right.
And that was it. And everyone was like so pissed about this. That it was
just
like,
an observation.
You guys. It's just an observation, I promise. Does Kairi not take a bite? Initially, we were surprised there was a bite taken at all. When first watching it, it really seemed... I think they changed this. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I remember me and many other people not even thinking that there was a bite taken whatsoever. There was like no real sound to it. Or at least it was like really quiet. And so really I was like, quiet. I thought they were just kind of like, they just kind of did the thing. And then like later I was like, wait, they even took a bite? And like many others were also like, well, they did, so it's just like, what happened? But I think like later it was like, and then there was a louder like crunch noise, so like distinctly at this point. But anyway, when first watching it, it really seemed like neither of them took a munch, which is fine. They're recreating the cave drawing, and it's a sweet thing they shared as kids. It's important to them, and that's what matters. But things start getting suspicious when, upon closer inspection, there is a clear bite taken out, and it's only one. Oh, well, what does this imply? Can Kyrie not eat suddenly? Strangely, she never does actually take a bite of the ice cream we checked, and by we, I mean me. I remember being like, but wait, do we ever see her eat? Does this mean something? Anyway, or is it that she just didn't want it for herself? Was she herself making sure it happened? Or is it resignation in light of a foreseen unfortunate fate they've gone through once already? Something she might remember? Oh, we don't think it's anything malicious, and granted, we could be wrong. It could just be some kind of overblown lighting, but hey, it's something, so we're putting it here, because why not? On a separate note, this scene suffers from further muddied translation choices. The original script sheds a fair bit of different context on the whole thing. From now on, our fights will be different than the ones we've fought until now. This is a good luck charm, so that we won't be separated again. This makes sense as a reassurance to Sora's initial taken aback reaction. The English translation comes off really strong for the sake of a callback to its initial description given by Riku. But in regards to the ending, this feels more appropriate as well, implying that Kyrie might know they're going to be separated once again. Additionally, Remind even added a loading screen of this scene with the script's original meaning. In fact, it is literally when you start the DLC, it always shows you this one first. And it's just like, here you go.
By the way,
look at it. A little charm in the hopes that we'll never be apart again. Another note about this translation is that we miss out on an interesting connection with a trophy of all things. The trophy you get for returning to the Keyblade graveyard after saving everyone in English is called No Matter What. This matches with the translation we got. The original, however, is Japanese. I can read hiragana and katakana, but kanji is a lost cause to me as it stands. So, like, look, you can see it there with your eyes. Okay, look, it's the same. Anyway, take my word for it. Which translates to promised magic, meaning the little magic charm with the promise to reunite came through right then. It's honestly very sweet. So yeah, when you reunite with Kyrie, it is just like promised magic, and you return to the Keyblade graveyard, and that was the promised magic. It's sweet. It's such a cute thing, and we don't get that because they changed the translation so hard. So it's just like, you guys,
come on. Magic is real.
Yakusoku no Omajinai. Yeah, Omajinai. Anyway, that's their Yakusoku because that's promise. And then the Omajinai is it's like promised, literally like promised magic, but it's like akin to like a kind of like, we're going to say some secret words, or like kind of almost like I would say almost childish, but that has a really negative connotation, but it's like childlike magic promise kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, ooh, our little special charms, but it's like sweet. It's like a sweet thing.
Yeah.
Is what it's supposed to be. Anyway, Ultimania update. In the Ultimania, Irino, Sora's voice actor, stated that they recorded 2 versions of the Paopu scene. Irino, we recorded both a sharing scenario and a not sharing scenario during the editing. It wasn't decided which Nomura would go with, but it seems in the end he went with the sharing scenario. In an unseen timeline, a litany of things could go differently, and while this tidbit could be nothing, it is at least an interesting note and a fun little fact.
God, I wish the Ultimanias were translated.
They're working on one right now.
One of them, is going to come out this year.
It's supposed to be like a big bulky boy or something.
Yeah.
That was also someone like describing the childlike magic kind of thing. It's like it's kind of like a pinky promise in a sense. Like it's a good way to describe it. Yeah. Anyway, here you go. The Remind illustration.
The Remind illustration. Well, it's obvious she's taken one here. We just made the previous point that in-game, it doesn't seem like Kyrie takes a bite of the Paopu. We're leaving that point because it still looks as such, but also if there's more than one timeline, both are absolutely a possibility. Speaking of, a few things about this illustration stand out. Primarily, every example of it shows Kairi fading either in or out of the shot. The KH3 menu shows her fading in. The Remind... Oh, there it is. Ah, I was like, is that a GIF? There it is.
Is she Kairi or not? Oh, there she
she's
is.
going. Okay, she's here. The Remind PS4 theme removes Kairi when you go to the top half of the menu. Ba-ding.
Whoop.
It even continues in various merchandise, like a folder where when you put paper in, it makes Kairi disappear. Doo-doo. She's gone.
Ow.
Where'd she go?
Peekaboo.
Where'd she go? Where'd she go? The KH3 OST also only has Kairi appear when you pull the CD booklet from the sleeve. Kairi, why you keep disappearing? Where are you going?
Kairi,
where are you going? Go? And Nomura specifically oversaw the packaging design himself. Did you have anything to do with the soundtrack? I supervised the packaging design. I also wrote some commentary for the liner notes. The first thing he says, I designed the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Continually,
so weird.
Even that isn't that wild. Even in the this is like a complete picture, right? And all of the stuff with Sora by himself, you already have from KH3. Like that's that's everywhere. Why would you continue with the Remind packaging to have this separation of the two of them?
And they're always just like on two like separate planes, basically. Over and over again.
Oh my god. It's very interestingly consistent. Second point, Kairi seems to be walking on top of the water. Go back up here. She's behind Sora, yes, by only a little, but Sora's feet are very clearly submerged, waves drawn splashing at his ankles. Kairi, you can see her entire foot and nothing is submerged. Fading in and not touching the water seems like she's not even physically present. And if what we've suspected is true, this is a sign of how Kairi has been with Sora this whole time from within his heart, like some kind of guardian angel. Cheerithy Kairi. Maybe Cheerithies don't eat.
Kairi.
Well,
maybe
no, she did take a bite there.
See, and that's like the point of like, when I was like making it, I was just like, I swear to God, if it's a thing where it's just like, and she doesn't eat any food because she can't, because she's not like normal Kairi, I am going to angrily eat my own hat. That's why I was like, I have to put this in, because if it turns out to actually be a thing, I am going to scream. I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna feel like so cool, but like I'm so mad if it's
the whole time.
So it's just like, yeah, she doesn't take a bite of the ice cream. No, maybe she doesn't actually take a bite of the Paopu. And if this is anything to like point to where it's like, yeah, she did take a bite and maybe this happened on like a first timeline, because at this point, ever since, it would be assumed that she is like hanging out in Sora's heart the whole time, right? So it's like, oh, this is like representative of how like she's with Sora, but not really with him. Like she's on a separate plane from him. And this has been shown repeatedly in like every promotional material ever, that like Kairi and Sora are like on different planes.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, well,
chat's shouting X on a shirt, X on a shirt,
X on a shirt,
X on a shirt. Appropriately, rage form.
Rage form is incredibly interesting on its own as a concept, but given the context we've come to understand, it can have a lot more meaning than just being super rad. Just the idea of it being rage form and not anti-form seems telling enough, but with the context of potentially having gone through the death of everyone Sora knew and cared about, helpless to stop it, well, the mind may not remember, but the heart doesn't forget. It is fueled by a very specific emotion and has the ability to sacrifice your own HP. Sora's sacrificial tendencies we all know well, but it just seems like a pointed step forward for a game mechanic, anti-form, that went largely unexplained the last time around. Also, if rage form is an actual indicator of Sora's rage and grief at the outcome of the first timeline, it'd be another point in the pot that 2.9 does in fact take place within a dream or some layer of sleep / New World line, because it happens there too. The post Kingdom Hearts 3 Dengeki interview. In a post-release interview, Nomura goes into some details about rage form, unsurprisingly being fueled by anger. Question. There's a form that appears called Rage Form, which reminds us of the anti-form from Kingdom Hearts 2. What is the setup behind that? Nomura. The forms in this title are very different from that of KH2, so we decided to change all the names. Rage does indeed have characteristics that are reminiscent of Anti, but it's basically a separate thing setup-wise. Anti is based on Sora getting completely stained in darkness, but Rage doesn't go quite that far. It's based on him going into a rampage state controlled by feelings of anger.
Damn, Sora.
He mad.
He's got lots of emotions that he needs to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot, this poor boy.
Yeah, and I'm so glad he is now being set up with, like, he has to do it, so.
Oh, please. Please, please, please. That would be so amazing.
Please, please, please. Sora introspection.
Yes. God, Sora
it's
falling into darkness.
Little baby boy.
Yes. Riku's Halo. Our next point of interest is actually the Proud Mode ending screen. The art itself is just the Union Cross anniversary done up with a nice background. Nothing new to report, really, but there is one tasty little detail. Riku has a halo. Like, that's deliberate placement.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Not exactly a literal angel halo, but a symbolic halo, an encirclement around the head, usually used to represent light or some kind of enlightenment or power. For the sake of argument, in that it's there to simply make the image look good, it's definitely a neat composition. It draws the eye well, it's offset in a way... Let's go back up. It's offset in a way that is weighted well, too. This is all fine and good, but just because it's a good art comp doesn't mean that there isn't intent behind it. In fact, symbolism, just like this, is usually chock full of intent. Remember the all of the cover art
being
all lined up.
Things that he did on purpose.
Speaking of intent, this design is actually not used that often for anything else. In fact, this pattern encirclement is used one whole other time in one of the most symbolically loaded scenes in the game, in the mirror with the dive to the heart. It's a bit faint with the angle, especially when the focus is on Sora, but it's there. It's definitely there. So, Sora passes through it, and what do we get on the other side? We get Riku. Riku as the light in the dark.
I will say that the encirclement on the mirror, if you're ever just like playing in game, it's actually not that hard to see. You just have to it's really like when you're looking at the mirror straight on, you're just kind of seeing the reflection. If you turn the camera to the side, like at all, it's like really there, and it's the whole exact thing, and it's just there on the mirror. Because when I was playing not that long ago with Claude, we were like looking at it.
Yeah.
We were like, damn, it sure is there, huh? And there was something that I forgot to put in here, but there is definitely within Remind, there is a shot with Riku when he is at the Land of Departure, when he's there to talk to Hera, and like he's standing at like the top of the heart, exactly where the crown goes, like over the heart, but then also the camera like pans down, and he basically has like a perfect little encirclement halo around his head with like the window behind him.
Yes.
And so that one's there as well.
That's so purposeful.
Yeah, that's absolutely just like shot composition. You definitely you can do that on accident, but then there's no way you don't notice it, basically. Right.
It's extremely obvious.
Subtle messages and subtle symbolism in media. Anyway, okay, Riku voice fist clench. Boy's gonna get carpal tunnel. Ultimania update. The Ultimania interview with one of the animation directors confirms two things. Firstly, that they put great consideration into the movements that highlight characters' personalities and natures. Question: what do you think are Kingdom Hearts-esque movements? Answer: movements that make the characters' natures prominent, and a mix of serious mood and comical feeling to pull the people watching in. Even though movements for motion capture are real and you can feel the presence of the motion capture actors, all of the movements in the Kingdom Hearts series are treated with utmost care, so there's a lot of charm piled in that can't be pulled off from the acting of people. And secondly, that important fist clenching TM is actually important and something they do consciously. So we've got confirmation that consistent habits like this are on purpose. And this was in another Ultimania interview. It's like, bonus, a secret about the game only you know. That habit Master Xehanort has of making a fist and then letting it go, you can see a little during the chess-like game. The chess-like game with young Xehanort is, you can see a little during the chess-like game that young Xehanort is playing too. I tried making it a habit he's had since childhood. And I know the one because he's like, he has his like hand up and then he's like, and then he really flexes his fingers and stuff, and he's always doing that. Xehanort is always doing that. Anyway, they're very like conscious of like making these things, but you don't even have to like have that to see that they are very much doing this on purpose with Riku, because they really like make it like really almost laughably apparent. It's
Yeah,
really when like
right
with
in frame.
Quasimodo that is, he's like, and he like looks over at it. We'll get there. Starting from Dream Drop distance, they've made sure this is also, they have had it actually show up in past games, but we're starting with Dream Drop. They actually really put an emphasis on it. They made sure to put a constant emphasis on Riku's clenched fists. Every time it happens, it's purposefully animated and framed to draw the audience's attention to it as either the biggest or the only thing in the frame. They made you focus on it repeatedly. Not only that, it most often has to do with surprise, Sora. After all, light begets darkness and darkness is drawn to light. For this reason, some decided to use the Keyblade, a weapon designed to conquer the light, to defend the light instead. And then he's like, the first these were the first heroes of the Keyblade. And he clench him fist. But the real walls were the ones I built around my heart. You helped me see that, Riku. And he's like, I was speaking from personal experience. And then he clenches his fist, and
Quasimodo
just like,
looks right at it.
Like, yeah, he literally looks down at his fucking his fist. It always makes me laugh because it's just so like, please look at it.
Please
we
look
put it
at
in frame.
Riku's
There's
fist.
nothing else. Look, what's Quasi doing? Looking at it? You should too. It's just like, please, we can't make it more clear. Unless it was like verbally like, look at your fist.
Hey.
And he's like, ah.
Why are you clenching your fist? Why are your fingers curling, Riku?
What's going on? I'd say you still keep a lot locked inside. Here's this with good old young Xehanort. But you succumb to the darkness you could not control. And your prize, the Keyblade, passed on to Sora instead. And he's like, ooh. And, he squishes his little stress ball in his hand. Your mistakes always end up being other people's problems. Maybe, and then he's like, maybe so, but I'm here to change all that. Look at him. Look at that
smile.
I love him.
Oh my god.
I love that guy.
He's just like, no, you're not pulling that on me. I'm past that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm done with this.
I'm done with that. That doesn't work on me anymore. Love it.
Later, it's like, after all your efforts to command the darkness and to protect those you cherish, it is a shame you locked that power away in the end. And then he's like, ooh, clench that fist. I can still save Sora.
Yes. So
they've established this. They've established this as a clear visual cue, most often when strengthening his resolve, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is no different. Riku's revelation, prompted by Mickey about what he's drawing strength from, the cherished person who he wants to protect. Strength to protect what matters. Then he's like, Or when he thinks about Aqua's experiences paralleled to his own. And he clenches his fist and it shakes. How frightening it is to have no one. Culminating in the fist clench before his self-sacrifice, right after withdrawing his hand from Sora, resolved to do what he has to. The reach, and then
the hesitance reach, and then the resolve. Ugh.
But this scene isn't important, and we don't want you to remember it. Don't think about it. But these aren't the only times he's done this in the game. They're just the most obvious, the ones the game wants you to pay attention to first. Pretty much everyone thinks it's out of character for Riku to have just let Sora go alone in the ending, but there's a weird emphasis on him when he realizes what Sora is trying to do. In a blink and you'll miss it moment, Riku clenches his fist not once, but twice. He clenches his fist, purposely animated both times, just out of focus, slightly obscured, but not out of frame. Then comes to an understanding none of the other characters seem to reach. So, as you can see, this one behind Donald's head,
I barely see it.
Yeah, you want to know how this was found? Gemma was literally like, just like, I'm gonna go through scenes and I'm just gonna watch Riku and see if there's anything there. And not just because I want to go look at Riku, but was like,
as if you already weren't watching these scenes and just looking at Riku. I mean,
but like it like went in with purpose to be like, is there anything we missed? And then like went in and was like, hold on.
Wait.
But like you can specifically like see it because like his whole like his palm like turns. And then, like, you can see his finger curl up, and then you see it, like, unbend, like, afterwards once it gets past Donald's head.
Oh, I didn't even notice it uncurl.
Yeah. Because you see it turn, and you see it curl up, and then you see it whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the next one, it's both of them when Mickey's talking.
Yeah.
That hit double resolve, because he's like, oh my god, I gotta let him go by himself.
Yep. He convinces Mickey and the others to trust in Sora, believe in him, and watches as Sora opens another sleeping keyhole. And then I just think about the remind, or I guess the limit cut technically, Kingstagram post that's just like from Riku. You know, it's just like, I believe in Sora, and it's like this beautiful picture of him, and it's like hashtag Sora, hashtag Riku, hashtag wish.
Yes.
You know, you're like, okay, you're embarrassing. I have to go.
So embarrassing.
I adore him.
Oh my god.
All right. So past that.
Oh my gosh. Shall I? 6 hearts, no sacrifice. Here it is. Here we go, boys. Here we go. When Sora meets Charity for help in saving Kairi's heart, he says something missable but important. Hey, I've already restored 6 hearts. What's one more? How happy he's like, I can do this.
He's like, yeah, whatever, man.
But that doesn't sound right. There are 7 hearts to save. The beginning of the game made it clear he had 7 hearts to save. And yes, before you make the joke, Sora can count. We even saved all 7 hearts in question. So what gives? Did he forget someone? If he were to forget any one person, the most significant one is Riku, whose light he followed to then save the others. Riku, whose sacrifice goes entirely forgotten and noticeably skipped over when Sora simply stares... Noticeably skipped over with Sora simply staring blankly at the ground after making it through the tear. It's also notable we're never shown Sora waking up, just this empty stare as he's been unexplainably put back in his own heart. Creepy.
Yeah, so that's a small thing in Remind, that it's basically like he helps Ven, you have a fight. Then he helps Aqua, and he's just like, oh boy, I am seeing her trauma with my own 2 little baby boy eyes. And he's like, no. And so then you go and you have your little fight with Auntie Aqua or whatever. And then at this point, like chronologically, they go like, this is when he goes through the tear. The next like event, you would think like everything that happens, everyone gets swept up and Riku's sacrifice happens. And then everything kind of goes to, and then he fixes everything, and now we're in the timeline with no defeat. But like we do this thing with Aqua, and then basically it just cuts to black, and then everything just kind of happened, but like we don't see it. Like it's just suddenly we're back in Sora's heart. And Sora isn't even like, he like wakes up going like, whoa, man, what happened? Like he's just standing there on his heart station, blankly staring at the ground. Like that's it. It was just like, we're completely skip over the entire sacrifice and everything that happens there. And it's just like this transition. Like, we have passed
Yeah.
through the tear that was supposedly, Riku did his whole thing, and we don't see it. And then Sora's just like, huh. And then he just kind of like comes to suddenly. And he's like, oh, did I pass through the tear? What happened? Like, it was just like sucked her right out. So it's really odd. It was something that like I forgot about, and when I was going
Yeah.
back through to get like, screenshots and stuff, because I was just like, what is this? Excuse me. Why is he so like, why this is never explained? This is
Yeah.
so odd. It's very like deliberate, and like skipping over it entirely. Um, let's see. Okay, Rikunort. This is what I literally like finished updating last night. um, I'm done. Was it my turn to read?
It is yours.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Rikunort. So Rikunort might actually be two different Rikus. The Rikunort we see in San Francisco is distinctly different in attitude compared to how he acts later on in the Keyblade Graveyard. He's calm, smug, more calculating, and skeptical of plans, but rolling with them anyway. The Rikunort we see later on was prideful, brazen, taunting, and practically battle hungry. Brat. Just like how Repliku acted during Chain of Memories. So, makes sense. So we can see them both.
Yeah.
Not to mention they're literally wearing two entirely different outfits, and I can't say I spy a dark mode suit under that coat. Not that he couldn't just put it on later, I guess. Seeing as Kingdom Hearts 3 has done a thorough job of letting the audience assume and fill in the gaps, it's very likely this is another case of leaving just enough connection to let you think it's one singular Riku. In San Francisco, Sora and company assume he must be Riku when possessed by Ansem. A sound reasoning, and he doesn't entirely deny it, but leaves it open. This seems to happen a lot. Later in the Keyblade Graveyard, Mickey also comes to the same conclusion, voiced exactly the same way, and this Riku also doesn't deny it. This is easy for us, the audience, to make the connection and fill in that gap. We're led to do so purposefully, whether it's correct or not. So later, when it's proven to us that it is in fact not Riku when he was possessed, but Repliku, which makes sense with his behavior, this throws any and all spoken word out the window. Characters can be wrong, they can assume incorrectly, and they can even lie. So that leaves us with whatever contextual clues it shows us instead. Considering if this is the same Riku we're later shown in the Keyblade Graveyard, this conversation with Pete and Maleficent in San Francisco, a world that brought up both time travel and recreating things in data, doesn't really add up. Overstep and darkness will consume you again. What an interesting thing to say. I shall do as I please. As should you. Oh, I intend to. And then he leaves, and he's just like, who's he? A friend of yours? Yes. Though I could not tell you from when. He speaks very knowingly of Maleficent and past actions from Kingdom Hearts 1, while also hinting at hidden motives that otherwise aren't addressed. This sits especially strange when thrown in the face of what we see later from who we know to be Repliku. That and Maleficent's response in itself seems to indicate there's more at play than at surface level. Other than that, it's at least a Riku she has known, while also suggesting that she was aware that Rikunort wasn't who he said he was, Riku when possessed by Ansem Seeker of Darkness. We also have a stark contrast in how they respond to being the, quote, real Riku, which is honestly pretty telling. The Riku in Big Hero 6 has no issue with it. He even chides them for needing to figure it out. And that means he's not really Riku. Smarter than you look. Where Repliku at the Keyblade Graveyard fights it to his literal dying breath. You're not real. I'm the real one. So who is this potential mysterious and handsome 400th Riku? We're given a few different options, but originally our proposition was Data Riku in some form, a la Recoded. What with all the data Big Hero 6 Riku is working with. Especially with this odd, unexplained scene within Recoded that is a perfect chance to Nortnap Data Riku. It shows up suddenly, much to the confusion of Mickey, Jiminy, and the others. He point, potato sack point. Come here, you. And then he's like, yeah, all right, take me to the darkness. 400 Rikus. Maybe more. Thanks, Grimsby.
So many Rikus.
The scene ends here with a follow-up from Jiminy saying how this never happened, or at least he didn't write it in the journal at all. But following more recent Cucks updates, this definitely friendly and non-threatening dark staticky mass has proven to be very interesting and very probable. Introducing darkness, like as a person, sorta. Who am I? I guess you can call me Darkness. Well, that's certainly vague. I was going through these last night and it like made me laugh because Maleficent's like, man, cut the shit. I'm so tired.
No
she's
one
really,
is more
like, she's,
tired than
getting
Maleficent, seriously.
That's certainly vague. You're telling me. For starters, Union Cross is, surprise, surprise, taking place entirely within Data due to some kind of currently unknown meddling. Darkness, introduced in a Data world, is a strong enough a link by itself, but it's implied at the very least they've done some amount of meddling themselves, if not potentially all of it, to at least trap Maleficent. So you were forced to trap me in this isolated space. It would be inconvenient for us if memories of what happens in that world were to transcend time. I did have to cut, I just didn't want to add too many screenshots, but I will say within this whole bit, because in this scene, there is both, they talk about Master of Masters, and they talk about this, and like, I was having to like parse through it, but like, they do talk about how, like, hey, originally with the masters would project the worlds in Kingdom Hearts Key. What's the world called? What is this world called? Suddenly I can't remember. Enchanted Dominion. Anyway, Enchanted Dominion did not appear in Key, but it does show up in Cooks. So it was like this, it was just like, oh, this is like where things are getting to be like new. Like we only saw Enchanted Dominion in the credits of Key, which was like implying that this is kind of where you dropped in, or where things were different at least. But they talk about how originally they did not actually project this world from the Book of Prophecies, in kind of like a preparation, like they don't want Maleficent coming back to this time, more or less, because that's how time travel works, and that you can go back to a point where you already existed, basically. But then it's like, okay, we have actually we had this prepared and created in Data, and it's more implied that like Master of Masters didn't let them project, like they didn't project the world with the Book of Prophecies in the real world as some kind of precaution, and then within this datascape that this world was prepared to trap her, and it is more implied that it is Darkness who did it, because she's like, oh, you don't want me to mess things up. That's what you're telling me. Like you were afraid of my power. And they're like, no, we're afraid of your memories. It would be really inconvenient for us if your memories and things of the future came back and screwed things up. So it seems more that it's like Darkness had a play in this aspect, where Master of Masters was like, no touchy the Enchanted Dominion. We don't want this lady coming back. So anyway, it is implied that they're out here, they're messing, they're doing some coding, they're screwing around, whatever. Anyway, so at the very least they trap Maleficent there. All the while showing a very comprehensive understanding of what events brought her there in the first place, knowing way more than one should be privy to. And they did talk about it a little more, but this one screenshot seemed to encapsulate it enough. It's like, when the boy you thought you'd manipulated so cleverly pierced you with a Keyblade, it crossed your mind, the time travel. Why the very same event, Big Hero 6 Riku seems to bring up offhand, the overstep and you'll be consumed by darkness once again. To top it off, Darkness is also the one who helps Maleficent escape back to the future. A mysterious old friend from who knows when, indeed. Speaking of, while Darkness is helping Maleficent, we're shown Darkness also with Inventus acting at the same time. It turns out there are multiple Darkness, and they often refer to themselves as a group. Conveniently, as does Riku in Big Hero 6. Where it's just like, example, sorry, did we steal your idea? Um, while we're led to assume it's just the organization, this is a frustratingly perfect narrative loophole, something to point to later going, haha, that we he mentions is actually a different group entirely. Gotcha! Which is pretty par for the course so far as the series is concerned. Something else that lends to this something else that lends to this is that his goals don't really align with the organization. His goal here is to find a way to recreate the heart, possibly using data while focusing pretty strictly on darkness. The organization, on the other hand, has plenty of hearts to go around, several options at their disposal to the point multiple characters are benched or go AWOL and they still meet their quota. What they mostly needed were bodies. And so far as looks are concerned, darkness is shown with the ability to shapeshift, having done so when manipulating Ventus to do some very bad things.
No.
The point remains at the end, regardless of who it is, that the Riku in Big Hero 6 is most likely not the same one in the Keyblade Graveyard. Rikunort 1? Question marks? Organization coat, calm and smug demeanor, doesn't get his hands dirty, calls plans into question, focused on data and uses actual bug blocks from Recoded, and now frequenting cucks, no qualms with not being real, has obvious ulterior motives. Rikunort 2, Repliku. Dark mode suit, aggressive and cocky attitude, very ready to get his hands dirty, follows orders willingly, insists he's real till death, actually confirmed to be Repliku, loves long walks on the beach. Gee, why does your Kingdom Hearts 3 let you have 4 Rikus?
4 Rikus. This is another theory. This is one of the like newest theories that like blew my mind when I read it, like I think it was like a month ago or something. And I was just like, it makes everything make sense. All of the weirdness about Maleficent and like everything she says in that scene, like it didn't make any sense. Like none of that. I just like kind of wrote it off as that's weird. But then after reading that could be darkness, like it just like everything falls in line, like dominoes, like puzzle pieces just fit together as soon as you apply that theory.
And there's like, that's what Kingdom Hearts does. And so to think that like everything, all of this weirdness in Kingdom Hearts 3 is just like, and that's just it. And speculating that it's anything is stupid. And also, because we haven't gotten the answers yet, it means that we never will. So you're wrong. It's just like, just wait, dude. We get so much stuff kind of like retroactively like cleared up that we just gotta wait and see.
Yeah. We're in the last section. There's only 2 pages left. Would you like to finish out your doc?
Why, sure.
I think that's perfect.
This was something I think I wanted to put more on, but I'll just comment on it verbally. Kingdom Hearts 3 official novel, and hey, while we were putting this document together, the title for the KH3 novel was announced, being Restart. Wow, imagine our surprise. We went absolutely ape. Like, it was just so, like, we're sitting here writing this document for, like, we're just many days are dedicated to writing this document, and we're making these points that we're not seeing literally anybody else discuss, and we're just like, okay, there's a timeline, it restarted, and we're just like trying to get this out there, and then they're like, guess what? The start of the novel, restart. And you're like, wow, that's really specific. I'm trying to remember what the second one, they're all like something, and then like the last one is remind me again. So there's like fun stuff going on there that I'm sure we'll get to find out later. Like we brought up at the very start of the theory, within the art book, Nomura left a sweet message to the fans. Within this message, there is a particular part that stands out. I believe that Kingdom Hearts 3 is truly completed when 2 thoughts, whatever you feel from playing the game, and my thoughts that I've secretly placed in the game, match up together. I hope that everyone playing the game will complete the game for us. Well, Nomura, we hope we lived up to your expectations. You did it. You made it all the way to the bottom of the abyss. But really, thank you guys for your patience and excitement while we put this together. It's honestly turned into so much more than was originally intended, but as we kept going and excitement was mounting, we really just wanted to make it the best we could. So, from the bottom of our Kingdom Hearts, a thank you. And another one of Canary's beautiful illustrations.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's it.
We did it.
We did it.
We made it to the bottom. And yeah, the whole like Nomura literally in the art book. Like, imagine again, I got the game a week early and I'm looking through this and like this is what's in the little book. And I was like, how dare you do this to me? How could you do this? And then I play through the game and I'm like, ah! How could you? So,
Nomura.
thoughts I've put into the game. Please put it together for us. And we're like, okay. And then we write like a nearly 500-page document. And people are out here being like, this is crazy and stupid. Nobody should pretend I'm typing. And they're like, people are just, they have too much time on their hands to do all of this stuff. And I'm like, he told us to.
Nomura literally said, I hope that you do the work for me.
Yeah, please. I hope that everyone playing the game will complete the game for us.
Oh my god. So validating when you read something like that, like from the word of God.
My dad told me to. He did.
Incredible.
Uh-huh.
Blew my mind all over again. Thank you so much for
go.
putting this doc together.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, with the help of my friends.
Everyone.
My friends are my power. It's a good time. So I guess my only thought would be to kind of like, now with all of this knowledge under our belts, kind of like summarizing it once again is just like, yeah, there was a timeline we did not witness happen. You know, it happened. The game we play is coming off of that second timeline. And with that, it is set up that Kyrie's heart is missing, is hanging out in Sora. And because of just how it functions in making a new world line and doing this stuff, is that we are in this kind of dreamy bullshit scape of dreams where nobody remembers the bad stuff that happened, and we go through it. There are many signs that there's dream stuff happening. And then we hit the point in the Keyblade graveyard where we are given a quite definitive sign of being shown the world logo, all according to an interview with Nomura from Dream Drop Distance, where he went out of his way to make the point that this logo coming in means we have connected to reality from a dream. And then we see it right there. The transition. Kyrie has a Chirithy hoodie. It's not really her because her heart, well, it's, you know, whatever, surrogate, however you want to make that work. But it's just like, Heart and Sora. Xehanort had something to do with it, and he definitely wanted to do this to make Sora go wherever, I guess. He's just like, I'm gonna send him to fiction. Let's go. But like,
Xehanort wanted to write Kingdom Hearts, and he's like, I need a main character, so we need to get him to the fictional realm.
And so he stole, and so he plagiarized. So he just went and he's gonna write some sick fan fiction with Sora and his not Riku. His name is Yozora, actually. So,
because he knows that Nomura, like, Riku's so copyrighted, he's like, I can't touch that. So we're gonna make a Riku look-alike.
It's his cool
here's your
fan.
Here's your new best friend.
Yozora. Yeah, it's yeah. And then let's see, Remind just kind of leans into that in many ways, like showing or leaning it, giving major overt hints of, Xehanort definitely had something to do with Kyrie. What's going on here? Also, Kyrie's in your heart, bro. And he's like, okay. And then Sora, like, you know, and he vanishes like a I licked my thumb and wiped the screen, and he just and so he's gone. Kyrie's fine. Everything's back to normal, but it's just like normal, I guess. But there's just a lot. There's a lot going on there, but there's That's the Sleeping Realm theory. Kairi in heart, second timeline, Riku do big boy things, save Sora. The end. My expert rendition of this doc I wrote the vast majority of. like just summarized like a champ, really.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It only took us 8 hours. 7 hours. I'm gonna say 7 hours to read through this
7
entire
hours.
thing.
Yeah, we really actually the last bit is not that hard to get through, I guess, but
yeah, the last bit was a lot. The last bit only that took us about 3, whereas the first half took us about 4.
Mm-hmm.
So excellent,
wonderful.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, this will be up on YouTube. The first two parts, which is the first stream, is already up there.
And I'm going to put this fun stuff in the doc later.
Yes.
Well.
And so these 2 parts will be up as soon as I can get them uploaded.
Hell yeah.
follow Niku on the Twitters and on the Twitches.
I stream regularly and talk about many a thing.
Did I do that right? I did. Nice. There's a lot of art and Kingdom Hearts discussion.
A lot of fun stuff like that.
It's a very good time.
Sometimes I play games. Most of the time I don't, though. Most of the time it's me sitting in front of a camera talking for like 5 hours.
Which is very entertaining.
I give the people what they want, I guess.
That's right. People demand it. Like, go watch this cutscene again and explain to us all the subtle nuances.
And I love to do it. I love to do it, and then I yell away from the mic. It's a really good time. But I am glad that we actually just got to like go through this for people to see. I don't plan on making any major updates to this. I might make like little tweaks if they're like little things I wanted to add it that I just opted to not while we were doing this because they just weren't that important. I mentioned them at least in like the past when we were going through it the first time, but otherwise this is more or less like until we have like major updates. This is kind of just where it's at. We'll see what happens with a Union Cross since that is circling.
Boy. Oh my god, that's like what 2 months and we'll get the finale. Oh my god.
Yeah, and like even like Nomura was like, there are some big twists and turns coming, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
So we'll see if that like overtly like affects or confirms anything within the doc. I'll probably write about it, but
for sure.
But as it stands, as a document that talks about Kingdom Hearts 3 having had a prior timeline, they did a world line jump, and this is the game we play as we connect to the world line jump. It's like we're playing Kingdom Hearts Union Cross without Kingdom Hearts Key having existed, more or less. So, like, unless it has something to do with that directly, or proving a point or otherwise, I probably won't add it, but, like, I'll definitely talk about it, so that's, you can look forward to that, but so far as the doc is concerned, it's what it is. It's just there, kind of its own little dude. It's just gonna hang out. But
thank you guys for being here. Seriously, this was so much fun to like look over and see in chat. We didn't do a lot of interacting because we specifically wanted this to be like, you know, something people could like use as kind of an audiobook.
Yeah, they could just listen to it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like I do like to see people's commentary, but it is just
absolutely.
like weird to just like we're just reading through and trying to make normal pace.
So, right. Otherwise, it would have taken like another 2 streams to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is nice and concise. But I do love to talk about this kind of a thing all the time. So, like I said, on Twitch, I stream regularly, but, like, even just, like, questions or discussion or whatever, and I'm like, oh, yeah, baby, throw it at me. Let's go. Yeah. So, continue to the discussion there, I suppose. Yes. Not sure how to round out this stream, but I do like talking, so.
Yes, absolutely. Unless there's anything else from you guys in chat or anything, I'm just super tired. It's almost 1 a.m. here. And like the last stream like destroyed me. Like I stayed up so late because like we chatted after the stream too. And like the next day I was like completely wrecked. Like I felt like I had like a nerd hangover. The next day I felt so awful all day, but I was like, it was worth it.
It was so worth it. Wet washcloth on your eyes.
Exactly. I'm gonna go just sit in the bath for a while.
Yeehaw.
Yes.
I say that as if I know what it's like to be hungover, and I don't. I don't at all. I'm like, yeah, that's what people do, right?
I have very little experience. But
like real nerds. That's how we know it was a true nerd hangover.
That's right.
Ow.
Oh, jeez.
Everybody is saying thank you so much, and I am seeing all of the thank yous. And I am... You're welcome. Like, what do I say? I'm just glad I was happy to do it. I'm glad everybody liked it. That's all.
Yeah. No, seriously. Thank you guys for being here. Here's Niku's Twitter. And then Niku's Twitch is that's not it. This one.
There we go. Yeah.
Go follow both the places. Go follow both the places. If you're normally on Niku's stream, here's all my links. I just have a button for that.
Nice.
There you go.
That's pretty handy.
It's super handy. Oh my god, I could not stream without the stream deck, dude. It's a godsend. Oh.
I should need to optimize my own streaming.
Oh my lord.
A lot.
Anyway. I'm gonna let the I think there's like 2 alerts that need to play. Thank you guys so much. Carlos and again Bio sent over a bunch of people in a raid. Thank you so much. And Lonerisms, thank you for the resub as well. There we go. Just let them all go off. Yay. Thank you guys. Thank you.
There it goes.
There it goes. Excellent. Thank you guys. Oh, Paladin, thank you very much for the 12 months.
Dang.
There it is. Months. Crazy. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Well, have a wonderful night, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you sometime. All right. Talk to you online.
Damn smooth.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. Take care.